All right, thank you everyone for joining day 2 of the Train the Trainer session for the EXIN Artificial Intelligence Compliance Professional Certification. For those who missed yesterday's session, I'm Madhuri and I'm the product marketer at EXIN, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. For those who are joining us again, a big thank you to all of you for joining us today. There's a lot in store. Uh, just to give a quick overview, yesterday we covered a lot of ground, right from the structure and scope of the AICP program to the core principles of AI compliance and how this certification aligns with the EU AI Act. Today, we're going to go even deeper. So, this session will be a lot meatier, more hands on, and highly practical, making it perfect for trainers who are preparing to deliver this course with confidence. And once again, we have Deepinder Singh Chhabra, who led us through yesterday's rich discussion. Deepinder leads Cyber GRC Consulting at Verizon Business Group. He's a seasoned expert in cybersecurity, governance, and regulatory compliance. Throughout his career, he has helped organizations tackle cyber security challenges, navigate complex regulatory landscapes, and drive secure adoption of technologies like AI and cloud. And the good part is, he's also going to, for those who missed out yesterday's session, he's going to give a quick summary of things that he covered in yesterday's session. So you still feel up to speed when you're in this session and you don't feel left out. So without further ado, Dipinder, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Marshali said that my mic and voice is faint. Hopefully it's better. It's down to my noise cancellation mic because if it moves slightly up and down, it's an advantage and disadvantage of this mic. It cancels out any noise around in the environment, but also, if this mic moves up or down, my
Yeah,
voice becomes faint. So call it out again. Thank you,
yeah, it's much
Marshali.
better right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Right, so let me share my screen. And before I share my screen, I think, as Madhuri said, it will be good to recap on what we covered on day one. We began the day one by setting the stage with the purpose and scope of EU AI Act. Why was it introduced? What is it trying to achieve? And we highlighted its three pillars: human-centric values, unified AI market, harmonization, and trusted AI system innovation. We looked at the roles defined in the EU AI Act, like providers, deployers, importers, and users. And understanding these roles is crucial because they define who is responsible and for what. From there, we explored the risk-based classification framework at the heart of EU AI Act. We discussed four levels: unacceptable risks, which are strictly prohibited; high-level risk systems, which comes with stringent regulatory obligations; limited risk systems, which require transparency; and the minimal risk systems, where you are obliged to follow a code of conduct. It's not regulatory, but it's expected. And we spent time then unpacking the requirements for high risk AI systems, including data governance, human oversight, transparency, and documentation. We also introduced the idea of governance and oversight. Who is in charge of ensuring these rules are followed? From the regulatory landscape. We talked about EU AI Office, AI Governance Board, and national level bodies and operational level, confirmatory assessment bodies as well. We then turned to our attention to how the EU AI Act wants to maintain the balance between innovation and regulation. And this is a natural tension that is introduced by EU AI Act. We looked at emerging issues such as general purpose AI and related systemic risks, and the evolving roles of code of practice, as we use more and more AI systems especially the systems which are minimum risk systems. We also touched on intellectual property implications with the introduction of general AI systems or LLMs and various tools that are available, which are able to use the existing body of knowledge and generate the new output. And we then looked at, we compared actually the open source versus closed source AI models. Each comes with its own set of trade-offs under current regulatory landscape. Finally, we concluded with an overview of compliance and enforcement. We discussed the importance of incident reporting, the role of whistleblowers, and the penalties for non-compliance, which we saw can be significant, from warnings to fines up to 35 million or 7% of the global turnover. So to sum up, yesterday we established the foundational understanding of EU AI Act. Today we will build on that by diving into trustworthy and ethical AI and how to apply these principles in practice with the help of existing frameworks and standards that exist today. So that was, that's a recap of day first. So let's now focus on responsible implementation of trustworthy AI. Let's start with one of the most critical pillars of trustworthy AI, which is privacy and data protection. Now, AI systems often rely on large volumes of data. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Deepinder, we're not able to see your slides.
Oh, okay. Apologies. That's good. Thank you. It's
Oh,
good
yeah.
that no, that's fine. Awesome. Thank you. Let me go back. Yeah, the reason is because, you have to enable my screen sharing. Adri, sorry.
Yeah, it's done. I think you should be able to share screen now.
Thank you. Right. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, now we can see your screen.
Right. So as I said, let's continue yesterday's session with focus on responsible implementation of trustworthy AI. And privacy and data protection, as I was mentioning, is one of the critical pillars of trustworthy AI. And AI systems mainly rely on large volumes of data, much of it personal, sensitive, and can also indirectly identify persons involved. This means that we are not just dealing with technical risk, we are dealing with real world implications for people's rights and freedoms. A key principle here is transparency. Users and affected individuals must be able to understand in plain language how and why decisions are made by the AI systems that may affect them. It's not just courtesy, it's a legal and ethical obligations under EU AI Act. So if we look at the, users and stakeholders who use the AI system, they are more likely to trust AI systems when they understand how decisions are made. Clear documentation and explanation enable accountability for AI behaviors and decisions, which enhance the accountability. Transparency supports the adherence to legal and ethical standards, including the AI Act. Explainable AI allows humans to effectively monitor and intervene when necessary, when we notice the deviations or any faults or errors. Transparent algorithms help detect and reduce the bias and discrimination in the AI systems, and thereby promote the fairness. Users can make informed decisions when they understand how AI systems operate. And in turn, empower users. In a nutshell, transparency is not just a best practice, it is a cornerstone of responsible AI. It means people can understand how and why a system made a decision. And under the EU AI Act, excuse me, it's not an option, especially for high risk AI systems. It is what builds the trust, ensure accountability, and protects the fundamental rights. Without transparency, we lose the ability to question, to explain, or to correct. So now let's look at the application of GDPR principles in the use case of an AI-driven recruitment system to illustrate, how privacy and GDPR principles align closely with the AI system adoption. So if you look at the, on the left-hand side, you have the GDPR principle. I'm sure you all are familiar with it. And on the right-hand side, how do you apply these principles in an AI-driven recruitment system? That's a use case that has been illustrated here. So if you look at the lawfulness, fairness, and transparency, you have to clearly inform the candidates about the data processing, its purpose, and legal basis. Right? If you talk about data minimization, collect only necessary data, to avoid non-personal data or personal information to be included. You have accuracy principle, ensure that data is accurate and up to date, that has been fed into AI system, and also allow candidates to correct errors. Storage limitation, again, you are quite familiar with integrity and confidentiality. Obviously, the data has to be protected. Accountability, maintain records of data processing activities and conduct regular compliance audits. So you can see that how these two work together. But and I like this presentation, and the credit goes to the EXIN team who has developed these presentation. Let me call out the data minimization and how it poses challenges in the case of AI system. So if we talk about data minimization, it is a simple principle, but with very powerful implications. At its core, it means only collect the data you need, no more, no less. But in AI, that is easier said than done. So what do I mean by that? So data minimization does offer us great benefits such as enhanced privacy compliance by collecting only what is strictly necessary or needed will reduce the risk of GDPR violations, minimize data breaches, and ultimately build a stronger user trust. When users know their data is not being over-collected or misused, they feel safer, and that trust translates into better adoption and more credible AI solution. Plus, if you have fewer data points, because you have minimized the collection, it actually streamlines the system efficiency. It results in faster processing, leaner models, and often better performance. But let's have a reality check. AI systems thrive on data, and the more you restrict it, the harder it can be to train the robust models. Data minimization can limit the accuracy, hurt generalization, and in some cases lead to skewed or biased data outputs. And it's not just about volume, it's about complexity as well. Establishing what is truly necessary and ignoring the rest of the data set is not always straightforward. It requires alignment between data scientists, compliance teams, and domain experts. Smaller data sets may also need frequent updates to stay relevant and accurate, which can add operational overhead. So yes, I mean, this is a good example. Data minimization brings powerful benefits, but it also has a strategic balancing act. And finding that balance is not always easy. But this showcase the challenges we may face when we are trying to implement some of the requirements for the regulations, and especially when we are trying to protect privacy as well. Let's now revisit the transparency we looked at and also look at the concept of traceability. Now, I really admire this diagram. Whoever put it together deserves accolades. But let's try to unpack this diagram. There are a lot of things going on here. This diagram shows how the core elements of transparency in AI system provide us key benefit and help us meet the expectations of various stakeholders. At the center, we have the four core elements of transparency, which is explainability, accessibility, disclosure, and traceability. And explainability means being able to interpret how and why an AI system reaches a specific outcome. It is about making the logic behind decision visible. And traceability focuses on documenting the data sources, algorithm, and decision-making steps so we can audit what happened and why. We can trace the whole decision-making process. And disclosure, making it clear when the AI system being used, especially to the end user. So there are no surprises for them, just clarity. And accessibility, ensuring that this information is presented in a way that non-technical users can actually understand. Now, step one leads to step two. Core elements drive the key benefits like user trust. Of course, user trust is strengthened when people understand what's happening. Accountability and ethical compliance improve because the system is no longer a black box. You also get a better decision-making oversight across the development, deployment, and use. And of course, you are better positioned for regulatory compliance, especially under EU AI Act and GDPR. Finally, the outer layer shows us the stakeholders' transparency impacts. For end user, it means greater understanding and confidence in the AI system, as I mentioned earlier. Developers benefit through clear auditing and debugging and improvement processes. For regulators, transparency makes legal and ethical assessment far more easier and effective. And organizations, they gain reduced legal risk and something just as valuable, public trust. So transparency is not just a decision feature or design feature, it's just a legal requirement. It is a strategic competitive advantage or asset. That's how I see it. Let's now delve deeper into how transparency fosters public trust in AI systems. Transparency measures such as clear explanations of how AI decisions are made, informing users about AI involvement in decisions, explaining what data is collected and how it is used, and showcasing steps to prevent bias and ensure fairness, enhance public perceptions. Understanding of how AI functions, users feel in control, empowered to oversee or challenge AI decisions. Clear efforts to reduce bias foster fairness and confidence. And as we discussed on previous slide, Transparent AI systems are easier to audit and improve accountability. And users obviously feel much more confident, right? And trust AI system more when they understand them. This in turn drives wider adoption or use of AI technologies. Transparency demystifies AI and alleviates concerns, resulting in reduced fear and skepticism, improving public trust. Oh, so let's now talk about traceability, because that's something we have not covered so far. Again, it is one of the key cornerstone, our key principle or cornerstone of trustworthy AI. In simple terms, traceability means being able to track and explain how an AI system was built, trained, and how it behaves. Core components of traceability are data lineage on the right-hand side, model versioning, decision logging, and algorithm documentation. Data lineage is about tracking data sources, transformations, and flow through the AI system. So look at it, data provenance and data flow. Model versioning is about recording different AI model iterations and changes over a period of time. Decision logging is about documenting how AI systems make a specific decisions or group of decisions. Algorithm documentation is a kind of detailed records of algorithms, parameters, and updates. So key benefits of traceability are enhanced accountability. Obviously, if you have clear, visibility, clear audit trails, make it easier to assign responsibility. Regulate it, they certainly help meet the legal standards or legal requirements such as GDPR and EU AI Act. So they help in enhancing our compliance to regulatory landscape. It also facilitates debugging and model improvements, because you can then detect errors and correct them as they take place. Users and stakeholders, as we mentioned earlier, discussed, users and stakeholders can gain confidence in AI outputs and increase trust and transparency. So let's look at the ethical AI. And ethical AI, there are principles and guidelines. So let's look at those. So this slide is a very good slide again, highlights the key ethical principles in AI development. One thing I would like to highlight is, and that's Madhuri to note, that this slide is missing sustainability. That's another principle. But rather than going through each one of these principles, let's look at the use case of AI-powered hiring system to bring these principles to life. So these principles again are fairness and equity, transparency, accountability, privacy and data protection, safety and security, human-centric design, and as I said, sustainability. So rather than talking through, I think the next slide is again very good slide. Credit goes to whoever puts this course together, course material together, because you on the left-hand side you have ethical principle, you have guidelines, and how actually they are applied in the use case of AI-powered hiring system. So I'm not going to read through it. I will rather let you have a quick scan of this before we move on. Now, most of the, I think, ethical principles are self-explanatory, but there's one thing I would like to say is that there is a difference between human-centric design and human oversight. So if you, sorry, I'm going back to this slide. So on this slide, you have ethical principle of human-centric design. On this slide, you have human oversight. These are two different, slightly different concepts. And while I'm confident that you would probably have come across human oversight, it's self-explainable. I think it's good to understand the human-centric design. And the principle of human-centric design ensure that AI should enhance human capabilities, not replace or harm them, and keeps human welfare and societal good at its core. So that's something to remember, the key difference between human oversight and human-centric design. If you have any questions on any of this, please put it in a question answer and we can cover it later. But you can see, I will just let me call out one, right? So if you look at the fairness and non-discrimination principle, AI system should, and guideline is AI system should avoid bias and discriminatory outcomes. And if we look at in the case of AI powered hiring system, we should conduct regular audits for biased outcomes based on gender or racial bias. We should try to use diverse training data to minimize the inherent biases. So that's how you apply the guidelines, you operationalize it in an AI system to meet the principle of fairness and non-discrimination. Obviously, these principles are also aligned with EU AI Act, because in a high-risk case of high-risk AI system, EU AI Act demands that you should have a human oversight. And if you look at the guidelines point of view, humans must have ability to oversee and intervene in AI decisions. And if you want to operationalize it in the case of a AI-powered hiring system, you have to make sure that recruiters are allowed to review, adjust, or override AI decisions, and you are able to provide candidates with the right to appeal AI-based outcomes. And if you look at it, it's closely linked with transparency. You have, before you use the AI-powered hiring system, you need to inform the candidates that AI system is being used in a hiring process, and provide clear reasoning behind the applicant rankings. And if required, you have to provide that information anyway under EU AI Act. So let's move on. So we talked about human-centric design, and so natural progression to human rights. So it's very important aspect about the human rights, right? So and I really, again, this is a very good slide about human oversight, but human rights are different. So again, from Madhuri to note that there may be some, we may have to adjust the title slightly. Maybe say human rights and human oversight, because both are covered. But if you look at this slide, at the humans oversight layer, you have to, part of pre-deployment oversight, you have to conduct compliance and risk assessment. And pre-deployment checks are compliance, risk assessment, fundamental right impact assessment, especially for high-risk system. And also AI systems bias and stress test, validate data quality and completeness in training data sets. And then you have operational monitoring, which is ongoing evaluation, transparency, and bias detection. Intervention mechanism, obviously, once you detect, you are going to monitor for ongoing evaluation or bias detection. It's likely that you will come across some deviations. So how do you intervene? So that's an intervention mechanism for you. You can either override, adjust models, or stop AI decision if you think it can cause great harm. And then you have you have key considerations explainability and transparency, human in loop, which is human oversight. But there are two kind of oversight you can provide: human in loop or human on the loop models. So there are two different kind of approaches. And then you have risk-based approach, which provides stronger oversight for high risk system. So let's move on to the next slide. Now, EU AI Act mandates the identification of rights of individuals affected by AI systems and it mandates to conduct a fundamental right impact assessment for high risk system. Now, many of us may neither be familiar with the concept of fundamental human rights nor fundamental right impact assessment. And I will strongly recommend that you at least look at the Charter of Fundamental Rights, which is specifically called out in EU AI Act, just to familiarize yourself with the fundamental rights that are enshrined and protected. So let's now turn our attention to what really matters, how the AI Act plays out in real world. We will look at the application across both the public and private sectors and associated risk and risk qualification for few use cases. And that's what Madhuri was referring to bring it to life. How do you actually, how do you apply, how the AI system being applied in the different sectors, and what are the implications from risk and risk classification point of view. So let's look at the AI in public sector first. And again, this slide is very good. It kind of captures the key risk by sector. So if you look at the public decision making, AI is increasing. We know that AI is increasingly being used in public administration for decisions such as social benefits allocation, tax assessment, and citizen services. The main risks include, in this case, are transparency and explainability, because lack of transparency can cause opacity, and it may become difficult for citizens to understand and challenge how the decisions are made. And from bias and discrimination point of view, AI models may perpetuate the social biases leading to unfair treatment of the minorities, lower income groups, or other vulnerable populations. And there is a risk of reducing human oversight. As you use the AI system, there is a possibility that you will become over-reliance on AI, and that can erode human responsibility in the public decision making, making errors harder to detect or correct. And similarly, if you look at the law enforcement, crime prosecution, the risk factors are bias and discrimination, again, human oversight and accountability, biometric identification. That's obviously quite significant in the case of law enforcement and crime prosecution. You can understand if you are using real-time biometric identification for facial recognition, there are risks of mass surveillance, and it can violate the privacy rights as well. And they can also introduce reliability issues if you are using AI system for in the legal decision making. It is likely that there may be some cases where the data may be misinterpreted or wrongfully classify individual, impacting their fair trials and due process. But again, there are guardrails in EU AI Act about it. And if you look at from elections point of view, we are seeing it regularly now, AI generated disinformation being fed. The parties are using it now to discredit each other. And that's kind of manipulation of the democratic process. And there's a, election cybersecurity as well concern there. But these are kind of examples, right? Where, how you see the risk introduced being by use of AI system in public domains, especially in the area of public decision making, law enforcement, crime prosecution, and elections. Once again, there are guardrails to protect us, the citizens, and the whole EU from these risks in the EU AI Act. So let's now look at the various use cases in different private sectors and risk qualification as per EU AI Act. They are, these are just reference points for you. So I would suggest that you use it. You can use it in your own time. But just to give you an example, AI-driven credit assessments are high risks. Are classified as high risk system under Annex 3.5B of AI Act. And risk assessment, and if you're using AI systems for risk assessment and insurance pricing, again, they are high impact and classified as a high risk AI system. Fraud detection is not that, and prevention is not that, doesn't have that high impact. So they are classified as not high risk system. Biometric data processing is prohibited under Article 5(1)(g). And recognition or use of AI system to recognize the emotions, again, in some cases prohibited under Article 5(f)(1)(f). But in the case of, if you look at the last line, it just highlights again and reinforce that fundamental right impact assessment is mandatory for high risk AI systems. So this is again a use case of AI, or I would say this slide is very good because it's conceptualized the impact of AI Act on different stakeholders within the domain of finance and insurance, especially in these use cases. Similarly, you have other slide. This slide is about healthcare. What are the use cases on the left-hand side? What is the expected impact level and regulatory classification on the right-hand side? So these slides again are, very well designed because they kind of put forward the use cases and also highlight how these use cases are classified in the EU AI Act based on their associated risks. This next slide is about employment and education. I'm not going to read through this because again, some of the slides may not be relevant to you. But one thing to remember is that it is about the impact. Now, if you're using AI system for detecting the cheating, it may have less impact. If you are using AI system for to assess the eligibility of the candidates who may attend the course, that may have a high impact because you can imagine if somebody is wrongly, their capability is wrongly assessed and they are deprived of the opportunity to learn, that affects the fundamental right to education. So, you can see the, relationship. And that's why in that case, that system may have to be classified as a high risk system. This one is about autonomous driving. We all know how high risk that may be, right? So this is again good slide to refer to it. And again, comparison between, if you look at the autonomous vehicle certification and regulation, it's certainly regulated in different EU AI Act as well. But if you are the difference, if you have between two AI use cases about controlling lane keeping and cruise control and traffic and route analysis AI system, it's natural for AI controlling lane keeping and cruise control having high impact, because imagine if cruise control being managed by AI system fails, it can cause an accident, and same goes for lane keeping. So impact is high. If you get wrong information about traffic and you got stuck in traffic for a few more hours or spend more time, you are directed to a wrong route, impact is less. Right? Like again, last line is there just to highlight that fundamental risk impact assessment is mandatory for all high-risk AI systems as per EU AI Act. Again, this one is very interesting. This is about impact of AI systems. I think I would say AI impact, AI acts on different use cases and stakeholders within advertisement and tourism. I think this is very important to understand that in some use cases, if you are trying to manipulate the I think it will come in retail as well. You try to manipulate the user behavior that is kind of not favorably looked upon. So, for example, AI in personal advertisement or advertising is prohibited, and you have to look at it because it's not just personal advertising ban, but why it is banned. It is highlighted as well. Did we cover it? Oh, there's no retail, but the retail is also very closely aligned with advertisement and tourism. Right, so let's now look at some of the European and international frameworks and standards that may support compliance with EU AI Act. Because we have EU AI Act, but how do you comply? Are there existing frameworks that can help us and standards that can help us? And this section talks about that. So let's look at the European standards first. So if we just zoom in at the Article 10, which is about data governance, that's where CEN CLCTR 18,115 comes into play. And if you look at the Article 10, it's not just a suggestion, it's a hard requirement for high-risk AI system. It tells you your data has to be relevant, accurate, and representative. No gaps, no biases, no shortcuts. So how do we make that happen in real operational terms? That's where CN, CCL, CLCTR 18,115, a European technical report. So it's a technical report. It's not a standard, but obviously I call it standard, but it's a technical report. It is not legally binding, but it is a game changer as I see it. This report shows you exactly how to build strong, structured data governance from how you collect your data to how you validate it, label it, and even how you document every step of the traceability. Excuse me. And here's why it matters. If you can demonstrate that you are aligning with this standard, you're not just managing data, you're managing compliance risk as well. You're showing regulators, partners, and public that you take trustworthy AI seriously. So whether you are advising product teams, running audits, or leading a compliance review of AI systems, remember, TR 18115 is not optional. It is your compliance compass for Article 10. So it gives you practical data management strategies to implement data governance framework, provide data quality assurance, help you avoid bias, and ensure that fairness is embedded in AI systems. It also helps you test and evaluate the systems, AI system, ensure that data set is relevant and model is validated. And how do you handle special data using pseudonymized? I always get this word wrong. Pseudonymization and access controls. And one last thing, which is very important, is that you have to consider the data in the context of the geographical look, or functional settings. And this is again in direct line with Article 10, which calls for contextual relevance of training and operational data in the AI systems. So let's now look at Madhuri. How are you doing how are we doing so far?
Yeah, in terms of time, I think we're good.
Okay,
We have a few more slides, so we're good.
yeah,
And we have
thank you
some
very
time
much.
for the Q&A as well. Yeah.
Thank you. So let's look at the international standards, right? So it's about the international standards that can help us not just meet the EU AI requirements, but actually build better and safer AI systems from the ground up. And these frameworks we're going to cover is I don't treat them as checkbox exercises. They can guide us in embedding trust, transparency, and accountability in every stage of AI system lifecycle. Oh, I was too fast. Mouse trigger happy, I can say. Right. So this slide brings us two heavy hitters in global AI governance from standards, I would say. The ISO 42001 standard and the NIST AI management framework. The table here is a very good reference. It very clearly highlights how NIST AI risk management framework and ISO 42001 can address the key compliance requirements in the EU AI Act. Now, ISO 42001, it is world's first certifiable AI management system standard. Think of it as like ISO 27004 AI. It is designed to embed governance, risk controls, and accountability into entire AI lifecycle from conception to deployment. And if your goal is to institutionalize responsible AI, ISO 42000 gives you a structured, certifiable way to do it. Now, on the other hand, we have NIST AI risk management framework developed by NIST based in US. And unlike ISO, NIST is not certifiable. It is a voluntary guidance framework, but it is packed with practical tools to help us identify, assess, and manage risks. I also think ISO 42001 is much more broader and comprehensive than risk management framework. And if you look at the table and look at the requirements, only thing that is not covered very well in ISO 42001 is model transparency requirement of EU AI Act. And just like ISO 27005 gives a structured approach to risk management in the world of information security, alongside ISO 27000, we have ISO 23894 purpose built to do the same in the world of AI management system. So let's dive into this standard that has been crafted specifically to help us handle AI specific risks clearly, methodically, and responsibly. If I can move the slide, yeah, thank you. And as I mentioned, it's like ISO 23894 is quite similar to ISO 27005 in the context of information security. ISO 23894 is our powerful ally, a global standard crafted specifically to help us handle AI-related risks. And this standard starts with what makes AI unique. We are not just talking about technical errors here. We are talking about data bias, adversarial attacks, model drifts, risks that evolve over time and often go on unseen. And ISO 23894 help us identify and categorize these AI specific risks clearly based on their impact and likelihood. So we can focus on what matters most. But here is where it really steps up. It pushes us for clear mitigation strategies. This means we are not just spotting problems, we are actually planning ahead for what to do when things go wrong. And it emphasizes on continuous risk monitoring, not just before launch, but long after deployment. It also fits beautifully into our bigger picture. And what I mean is that ISO 23894 was built to align with enterprise risk systems, especially if you're already working with ISO 31000. So you can see your AI risk management doesn't have to live in silo. It can become part of broader corporate risk culture. And finally, this standard helps you directly meet the requirement of Article 9 of the EU AI Act. That means continuous risk assessment, documented decisions, and rock-solid traceability, all of which put you in a strong position when the auditors come knocking at your door. And bottom line, ISO 23894 helps you manage AI risks with clarity, control, and confidence. It is proactive, it is practical, it is exactly what we need in today's fast-moving AI landscape. So again, I mean, this is, again, a beautiful report. It's a technical report, ISO TR 24368, that provides high-level overview of ethical and social, I would say no, ethical and societal concerns surrounding artificial AI, artificial intelligence. My brain, I need to pay attention. Be very clear. So again, if you look at the AI system adoption and EU AI Act, ethical issues are of key concern. And that's where the ISO TR 24368 comes into play. It provides ethical guidance on development, deployment, and use of AI. It concerns real-world AI challenges, ensuring AI serves societal, AI serves us, keeping in mind the societal obligations. And does it, we do it transparently and fairly. So let's break it down how this standard supports the AI compliance, because it lines up with multiple key articles of EU AI Act. ISO 24368 reinforces the need for ongoing testing and monitoring um, of AI systems to ensure that they function as intended. It is about catching issues early before they cause harm. And it is basically enshrined, if you look at the first line, validity and reliability, it aligns with risk management, Article 9 of the EU AI Act. And as per Article 14 of EU AI Act, which is about system safety and monitoring, ISO TR 24368 emphasizes safety at every stage from design to development to deployment. This means integrating safeguards, not tackling them later. And transparency requirements are enshrined in Article 13 of the EU AI Act. And transparency we have covered extensively today. ISO 24368 promotes systems that explain how decisions are made in a way users can understand and challenge them. The Article 73 of EU AI Act talks about provider responsibility, and ISO TR 24368 also reinforces that developers and providers must take accountability for performance and risk, not just pass the buck once the model goes live. And then we have Article 10. We discuss it. It's about about the data governance, right? And GDPR alignment, and the TR 24368 also covered this. And then you have non-discrimination or principle or non-discrimination and bias protection that is enshrined in EU AI Act under Article 5. But again, ISO 24368 requires proactive bias prevention. It's not enough to just avoid harm. We have to design for fairness and equity from the start. So when it comes to aligning both ethics and regulations. I think ISO 24368 gives us a very good roadmap um, for um, for adopting AI in a right ethical manner, uh, morally and socially, not just legally. So that's advantage of using this standard. Or I call it standard, but it's actually technical report, as I mentioned earlier. Right. Oh no, no, I stand corrected. This is a standard. I'm mixing up with the TR, another. Uh, no, sorry. Because it's the slide says standard, I'm getting confused. But TR means technical report, and that means it's just a uh, recommendation and guidelines. Right. So that brings us to the end of this session. Um, and before I wrap up, I just want to take a moment to say a heartfelt thank you to each of you who joined today and yesterday, and to the incredible team behind the scenes, EXIN team, who made this session possible, especially calling out our moderator, Madhuri. Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you so much. And it's been absolute privilege to lead this very first official training for AI compliance professional qualification. This is more than just a course. This is a beginning of a movement to shape how we help our organization build AI and govern it and gain the trust of different stakeholders. Again, to EXIN, thank you so much for your vision and trust, and to all of you who showed up ready to learn, question, and engage. And I'm sure there will be more questions. You are future of responsible AI. You are here. You are future of responsible AI. Your roles will define how we facilitate innovation, um, and make sure that AI is adopted ethically and responsibly. And so please, please, please don't stop here. Please go and try to achieve AICP, AI Compliance Professional Certification. And I'm just being really thankful and honored to be a small part of your journey. I'm sure that will help you achieve AICP and beyond. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Deepinder. This was amazing. I think this was such a powerful session. You've really helped us unpack the AI compliance certification in a much more meaningful and practical way. Like everything from theory to your examples, everything pretty much covered up what to expect from the certification. And I'm sure all the audience who attended today's session have a better clarity and a better vision into what to expect and what to be ready for. It's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure having you lead both the sessions. So thank you so much for your time. We do have a lot of questions, but before we dive into questions, I am very, very curious to quickly launch a poll and understand audience sentiments about the AICP program. So I'm just going to quickly do one more poll before we jump into questions. All right, my poll is a very straightforward question. How soon do you think you can plan to start offering AI compliance professional training if certified? Because I'm very curious to know there's so much to unpack. There was so much that we learned over the last 2 days. I'm sure the excitement is very high, and people also want to, I mean, they already have like a sneak peek of what to expect. So just curious to learn and to understand how
Yeah,
everyone.
maybe Madhuri, I hope the poll still is visible to everyone, because I just put it down. So hopefully everybody can still see the poll. Or I pulled it from my screen. So because I'm a panelist, I want to make sure that it's visible to everyone. But
I
maybe it's a good idea to just share the cost of the certification, because I think that's a key question.
Yeah, yeah, I'll share the cost of the certification in the chat. Because I have the poll on my screen, so I can't.
That's
But
fine.
I'll share the cost in the chat.
But also, Madhuri, while we were waiting for poll results to come out, I think you know um, I'm I'm really impressed and uh, inspired by the EXIN team, who actually has put this certification together, because I think it's a great opportunity for us to make a real difference in the successful and ethical and responsible adoption of AI within EU. So, again, I think that's something EXIN should be recognized for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I would really like to call out our ED team. It's the exam development team that put together the basic training material, the slide set everyone had a chance to go through today. So, a big, big shout out to them because they are the ones who work really hard behind the scenes and they work very closely with subject matter experts like you, Dipinder, who also contribute and make the whole journey of putting something so amazing together so beautiful and so yeah, so worthwhile. So I really hope people enjoy and appreciate the content and also give it a chance, give the exam a chance, and yeah, see where it takes them. I'm going to end the poll quickly. So here are what the results look like. We have most people who are very, very excited. About 40% people have voted that they want to do it within a month. So that's amazing. That really seals the deal for me. At least I know that we're headed in the right direction. And I love the sentiment that everyone is focused on responsible AI and everyone wants to do things the right way. So I think that's really interesting to know. Uh, all right. I think it's time for us to move into the Q&A section. We've received a lot of questions. Um, Let me quickly go back to the first one. The first question is from Shanita, and she/he, I'm not sure, they wanted to know, can you share some examples of AI incidents or AI concerns?
Yeah, certainly. There's a very good example in Netherlands where I think AI systems were introduced to, I think, if I remember correctly, to provide social housing and using it to qualify the candidates, or something like that. But it caused an uproar because it was not declared publicly that it was being adopted. It was not very transparent system. So that was kind of waking call for EU, and it's very good example that comes to my mind. Obviously, we have seen the cases of that's a EU AI incidents, but if you look at the incident specifically has to come through the context. So I cannot talk about what I've seen in my consulting experience, but just to give you an indication that the use case we used in hiring. Um, so if there's a human oversight, there's a recruiter who is involved, and he is consistently saying that one particular sector of society or segment of the people or applicants are being not assessed properly by the AI system, that could be an incident. Um, so there is a deviation you're expecting, and you see the results. Because over the period of time, what happened is if you're using the data changes over a period of time, and data may not be representative of the entire population because it's changed. Maybe the applicants were from one particular segment, and that can cause model drift over a period of time. And that may lead to incorrect assessment by AI-enabled hiring system. So that kind of it gives example. If you have a human oversight, that's why human oversight is so important in the high-risk AI systems.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. Um, I think we can move on to the next question. It's from Cypriano. In your trainer role, how do you structure learning outcomes to ensure trainees not only understand compliance principles, but also pass third-party AI certification exams? He's also given a couple of examples like ISO 27001 or AI ethics certifications.
Uh, so let me read it again. Try to understand and answer the question. So if you're in your trainer role, how do you structure learning outcomes to ensure trainees not only understand compliance principles but also, yeah, certainly. I mean, look, I mean, obviously this training program is focused on AI compliance professional certification, but whenever we are doing training, we have to look at the two things. Obviously, we have to make sure that all the concepts in the training materials are covered in sufficient depth so that you can take the exam. Um, and ISO 27 lead auditor exam, obviously different um, certification issuing bodies, they have different way to evaluate. Obviously, there are guidelines that have to follow, but the way the questions are framed could be slightly different. So it's very difficult to have a common training that will help you achieve multiple exams. But as I mentioned earlier, we have to follow the guidelines issued by the certifying body or the training organization who have created the structured training program. But normally what I do is I see some of the attendees here are from my previous courses I've run. I've run courses for ISACA and PECB, and what I do is I enhance the standard training material with my own examples to bring it home. Because what I believe is that it's not only I should facilitate and help the attendees achieve the certification, which is the primary objective, but I should also share the examples and some practical tips so that they can take these and apply in their day-to-day work. I hope that answered my question.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting take as well. Uh, I think that should suffice for his question. We do have another question around. It's by four, and this question is about: are there minimum requirements to implement an AI system where governance and civil rights are weak? I'm assuming he's addressing certain countries or certain, yeah, regions that don't have.
Yeah, it's quite very interesting. If you look at the EU AI Act, it is there to protect the human rights um, and fundamental rights within the setting of EU. Obviously, if there is a developer who wants to develop the AI system and take it and take it commercially across the globe or try to commercialize it and sell it in EU, then they will have to comply with EU AI Act. So they cannot get away from that. Now, this may also help if the same system is used in countries where the fundamental rights are not protected to that extent. If the model is not changed and applied as it is, obviously it will result in better transparency and um, will provide same level of protection, unless of course this is customized for that country. But that is, I think, is kind of added advantage. Yesterday we were talking about GDPR and how you set the baseline across the world. So indirect benefit of that may be that, if the system is used as it is, the countries where the human rights are not protected to the level as they are in EU,
Mhm.
then citizens may benefit as well.
Yeah, yeah. So this is again going to be like this is going to be the benchmark for other regions as well, and it won't just be restricted to EU. While it is built from the ground up here, I think a lot of other regions would benefit out of it, like you said. Yeah, amazing. Mashari also has a couple of questions. I think they were very relevant to a certain slide. So I'm not fully sure about. I think
Anyway, let's go through them and see whether we can tackle them.
yeah. Mashari has something about how does impact levels correlate to regional classification, reg classification, four but regulated, five but regulated examples. I think this.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I will have to look at it because these were slides were prepared by EXIN. But there is also a fundamental right impact assessment, which the name is escaping me, but it's available publicly that provides a kind of guidelines on how much impact should be assigned to
Hmm.
particular use case, and I think these slides are based on that. So that's my assumption. But actually, that's a very good question. Please reach out to me. I can certainly point it in the direction. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the second question was very it was related uh, to the slide about AI Act on different stakeholders and around advertising and tourism. So
Yeah,
where, yeah, I think this does it include avatar usage for tourism ads? Like how much can you personalize and where does the restriction lie? I think that's
that's a very good question, Mashri, because Avatar, we are talking about in virtual reality, and I think there has been, um, you know, obviously the regulatory landscape has not caught up with that, and there are legal implications of Avatar, and obviously avatars are not human, but they reflect the human emotions. You operate, in the behind the screen, there is a human who, and is interacting as avatar. So it's interesting. I don't know how it will pan out, but certainly it depends about the use case, right? How the avatar will be used, and what is the setting, and that's where the contextual setting is very important for the AI system
yeah.
risk assessment.
That's a very interesting question though. Yeah. Um, and the next question is, have there been instances in high risk AI system use cases where companies incurred penalties, specifically when their deployment was motivated by substantial profit?
And no, because I think EU Act still is being, in the process being governance structure being set up. Once
Mm-hmm.
they are set up, and there's timelines as well. There are some because all the high risk system by certain date will have to be registered on EU database for high risk systems. So that's coming, and as soon as the governance and supervision and enforcement structures are in place in each member state, that will start rolling out.
Yeah. Yeah. And Fo again has another question. Do data sovereignty concerns arise in AI when EU established companies operate in Asian jurisdictions lacking data privacy regulations? Do data sovereignty concerns arise?
So basically, the whatever the rules or regulations are there, an idea system will apply to AI systems as well. So if there are data sovereignty requirements, be it mandated by EU regulations or your contractual obligations with your partners, you will have to still respect them when it comes to AI system.
Yeah, yeah. That's that's interesting to know. I think Mashari has another comment. Yes, Mashari also has another quick question, which is, let me quickly dig it out. I think I missed it in the, yeah, in the first few, yeah. So there was something about Mashari wanted to know how where do AI glasses stand when it comes to privacy, transparency, and data violation and things like that.
Sorry, say that. Repeat the question again.
Where do AI glasses, where do they fall in the category of AI risk and privacy risk and, yeah,
I
things.
think I will not call it AI glasses, but uh, yeah, they are kind of glasses with the video capturing
Yeah, yeah.
facilities and
Which is
may
a
enable
privacy.
some AI system function. But it's more of a privacy concern
Yeah,
than AI risk. But it again depends upon the context. How that stream of video or data. Video is a data kind of data, right? So how it's been consumed by the AI system. Obviously, first thing is privacy concern. If you're using the camera-enabled glasses in public setting, you should not be using it because
right.
yeah. And if you're using for transcript recording, it's like Google Meet now has transcript function,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So
you have
the
to
Zoom.
so you have to declare it from privacy point of view before you start capturing the video if it involves a human and person other end. But otherwise, otherwise it's again contextual use. Like if it is for just transcription, the risk may be low, but the privacy concern will be higher.
Yeah, yeah. There's always such a thin line, and this, and it's
Yeah, I mean,
pro like
imagine
so.
Yeah,
level up.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I can just think of another use case from Ashray when you have AI or video enabled classes, but you have AI system in the background which is processing
yeah,
and actually help you assess the emotions of the person. Now that can become a prohibitory, um, prohibitory system because of the way the emotions can be used, or the AI system can use the feed to analyze the emotions. Now
yeah,
again, there's a there may be this next level how that information is being used, right?
yeah,
Because one thing is to interpret emotions, but how the system is going to use and present the output to the user of that system.
yeah.
It's a whole, you have to understand the whole contextual use
End to
to
end.
actually ascertain the risk and impact associated with it.
That's true. We could have a whole Black Mirror episode on this and do like a separate podcast and discuss the risks
Well,
associated with AI.
Adri, I will have to watch I know not to Black Mirror, so I will have to watch that before.
So, so you should you'll love it because you'll also see all the risks associated and the compliance issues in every episode. So that should be fun. Okay, we just have like a couple of minutes more, so I'm gonna quickly jump into some of the questions that we received on email. One of them was when conducting a fundamental rights impact assessment, what step do you find most challenging and why?
Obviously, if you want to assess the impact, right, main thing is to identify all the how this AI system will impact the fundamental rights and which fundamental rights. That's very important.
Right.
Because unless you understand how the AI system, what fundamental rights will be impacted, if you miss those out, next steps, you will not be able to complete it properly, or you may complete the next steps, but will miss out the impact that particular or AI system may have on that particular fundamental right. So that's I think is very important. There are guidelines, as I said, there are guidelines available which can help you assess the fundamental right impacts assessment. There's a lady, again, I'm very bad at names, but she has produced a very good work for European Union, and it's been adopted by them, and it's I think um, not it's open source. You can use it for own organizational use, but you cannot use commercially to provide consulting to other organizations. So again,
Mhm.
if you are interested, reach out to me and I can share that with the person.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I will also be dropping Dipinder's LinkedIn profile in the chats here. So everybody who wants to go connect with him, ask him more questions, please feel free to do that. We also have one quick new question that's come in from D. The question is, what do you see AI use in regulatory compliance impacting it? I'm not sure I understand the question properly. What do you see AI use in regulatory compliance impacting it? Maybe,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
D, can you
Uh, what impact do you see AI use in regulatory compliance? I'm not sure, D, we follow your question. Maybe you could just rephrase it so it's easier for us to get the context right. But in the meantime, I could maybe just quickly ask one, squeeze in one more question, which is also going to be very subjective because it's your personal take. But from your experience with standard like ISO 42001, ISO 23894, or NIST is most valuable for helping organizations operationalize responsible AI?
I think all of these are relevant. I think as I mentioned during the presentation, ISO 42001 is the broadest one, so it covers most of the aspects. So I think it's a good way to start. Actually, I also attended a training course for ISO 42000 lead audit a few months back, and I found it very useful. But then if you're looking at ethical aspects, you think you have to do more in that area, then you may use to go for TRIA. What is it? I need to look at the slide. I forget 118365, right? So that's the one to look at. And then if you're looking at for risk assessment, you want to strengthen your AI risk assessment. You can look at risk management. AI, I would say NIST RMF is good start, or you can
Mm.
look at TR 23894 as well.
Okay. But I think, like you said, ISO 27001 is the one that covers the most ground.
Yeah,
And
42001
it,
is a good start. Yeah,
and to get into specifics, there are a bunch of other,
yeah.
like,
It's like if you want to, I'm again drawing from analogy from ISO 27001, right? So if uh, you have to implement access control, you can look at the again specific standards about it. Um, if you want to do risk management, you can use either ISO um, 27005, or you can use again NIST standard. So it's complementary, depend upon the maturity of the organization, what system already they have, what standards they are using already, so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel and
yeah,
use what they have.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. No, absolutely, it depends on multiple parameters, but yeah, identifying what best meets your interests and requirements is the best way forward. I think D has rephrased their question. What do you see the impact of AI use in regulatory compliance intelligence? Maybe, and what would be the pros and cons?
Um, so what do you see the impact of
AI,
AI use in regulatory compliance?
regulatory
Uh,
compliance intelligence.
so let me take a shot at it because it's still not clear to me. But if we look at if I read it as what is the impact of use of AI to facilitate the regulatory compliance, could be another, uh, say, in case of GDPR, right? So I think again, you can use the AI system to process large volume of data. Um, this about live, I tell you. Um, uh, I'm not sure it's not coming up.
Yeah, I'm also not
I'm
fully sure.
confused. Further confused now.
But I think a good idea would be to maybe if they connect with
Yeah,
you, just
yeah. So
link.
D is connected with me on LinkedIn. So yeah, yeah. D message me directly. We are connected.
Oh,
So
lovely. Yeah, so maybe, yeah, you can just take this offline and have like a discussion
yeah,
with.
yeah. Sure, sure, sure.
But wow, this was so amazing. It was so super packed with insights, and this was a lot more, like it had a lot more meat because yesterday's session was all about setting the ground and getting
Yes.
things. This one was really, really interesting. So thank you so much for spending time with us, Dipinder, and for sharing your insights and your knowledge. This was a really, really insightful session.
And
And
thank you, Madhuri. It was a great privilege and honor. So thank you.
thank you. And yeah, a heartfelt thank you to everyone who joined us for this part two of the Train the Trainer series. We truly appreciate your time, your focus, and your engagement over the last 2 days. Just a quick note, everyone who attended the session will receive the session recordings next week. So you can always go back to the content, use it as reference, and prepare to deliver the AI compliance professional course. But yeah, this is just the beginning. We're excited to see you become a part of the movement that brings responsible, ethical, and compliant AI training to life. Thank you once again for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode or the next webinar around AI. And we're also looking forward to seeing the impact that you create with your training. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day and weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.
Marshari, I'm sorry, there is no free exam. Just like there's no free dinner. But there is a chance to win a free exam voucher for 10 lucky winners, if that's what you're referring to. So fingers crossed for you. Uh, it's going to be a lucky draw. So 10 lucky winners. It will be announced next week. So keep an eye out on EXIN's LinkedIn platform, and the winners that get chosen will also receive an email from EXIN. So all the best, and I'm rooting for you. But thank you so much. Thank you, Dipinder.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.